So I'm Dr. Brandi Johnson. I'm a chiropractor. I have a practice here in Boone. So I'm just going to kind of keep this, just kind of short. So I'm a chiropractor. I adjust people's spines. I do that because when I adjust someone's spine, I improve communication within their brain, and between their brain and the rest of their musculoskeletal system, and between their brain and the rest of their organs. So that's essentially what I do in a nutshell. So I do this to improve communication, yes, and the long-term goal is to improve this communication throughout your entire system so that your body is able to better adapt and respond to threats, whether that be internal or external. So that's the premise of it, and the long-term goal is, of course, to remove the chance of dis-ease, okay? So sometimes this dis-ease is interpreted in your body as pain, okay? Pain is a signal to your body that there is a potential for damage. That's how we perceive it. That's what that is, okay? So where does this disease and where does this pain come from? It comes from neurological interference. It's also poor communication, okay? So what causes this neurological interference? It's thoughts, traumas, and toxins, okay? That's chiropractic philosophy. That's what we adjust. We adjust neurological interference. Interference is caused by thoughts, traumas, and toxins. So we're going to dive into a little bit of this. You have your notes, a lot of it's kind of empty, it's kind of bare. There's a reason for that. I want you all to be able to write what is most pertinent to you or someone you know and not kind of get bogged down with details. So please take advantage of that. So let's start with thoughts. So thoughts they take up real estate in your mind. They are real things. They create chemical messengers that go throughout your entire body. Now, whenever they are negative thoughts, they create stress responses in your body. Now, your body can be consistently assaulted by toxic thoughts whenever it's a pattern, okay? Whenever you have toxic thought patterns, it's a constant assault on your body. And your body doesn't know the difference between an actual physical assault, whenever we have the stress response, versus it being just emotional. For instance, a fight with somebody versus I'm actually about to get physically attacked. Okay, your body doesn't know the difference, same responses are being sent. Now, physical pain can be a manifestation of these chemical messengers passing through, but essentially also getting built up in your body. Okay, they will store themselves in your joints, in your muscles, because once you think something and you have that chemical response that's emitted, it doesn't just go away. They don't just evaporate, right? They get stored in your body if you don't appropriately deal with them. And this causes things like inflammation. The next thing is we're going to talk about toxins. So toxins they can be anything that you eat, that you breathe, that you absorb. Short-term exposure can create inflammation in your body as your body is trying to purge and fight against this assault. And long-term exposure will essentially drain your body of its vital nutrients that it needs, because if it's having to constantly fight against what's being put into it, you're draining your body of the nutrients that it needs just to perform a day-to-day function. So this can create deficiencies that will eventually lead to chronic conditions. Now, these chronic conditions create inflammation in the entire body, as these are systemic conditions, meaning whole body conditions, as your body reacts to the disease process. Now, toxins can also be, like we said, things that we eat. So that's processed foods. That's foods that create inflammation in your body for certain people, like wheat, dairy, things of that nature can create inflammation in the body. Sugar, absolutely. That's a big one. So anything that's not nourishing to your body can essentially create an inflammatory response. So all of these things ultimately destroy your microbiome, which is your gut. That's all the bacteria in and on your body. So toxins destroy your microbiome. Now, what that means is that because you need these healthy bacteria, you're allowing these bad bacteria to flourish, and they are responsible for a lot of the inflammation in your body. They kind of release that inflammation in your gut and affect the rest of your body. Excuse me. So the third T, we kind of call them the 3 T's. We have thoughts, we have traumas, now we have, thoughts, toxins, now we're going to talk about traumas. So traumas can be actual physical assaults, meaning that destroy your structures. So you fell down the stairs, you got hit by a baseball bat, you got in a car, whatever it may be. Physical assaults, we're aware of that. There's also repetitive traumas. So that can be something that is work-related. If you're working at a keyboard all day, if you're writing all day, if you're required to stare at a computer all day, anything that is just repetitive, that's not a natural motion, is considered a trauma on your body. that can also be poor posture. So if you're slumped over the computer, even if you're just pulling weeds and you're slumped over, whatever it is that's not, putting your body in its best position is an assault on your body. It's a trauma. Now, this poor posture, especially over time, puts more and more strain on your muscles, on your ligaments, on your joints, and that will create inflammation. It's that damage. Remember, we talked about pain is a signal to your body that there's damage that is going to occur. So if you're in a chronic position, you chronically have poor posture, those pain signals are being constantly sent because your body knows if you keep this up, you're going to really hurt something. You're going to really create some damage. So posture is very important. Even if we just talk about posture in the sense of forward head posture, creating, 10 pounds of pressure for every inch forward. Most of us walk around here with 3 pounds of head carriage. That's 3 inches of head carriage. That's 30 pounds in your spinal cord. That creates a lot of inflammation in your body. So just how we carry ourselves is very important. Your body will literally distort itself to keep your head over your pelvis. So when we start doing crazy things and our posture's out of whack, your body will distort itself to keep your head where it's supposed to be. We are bipedal animals. God created us that way. That's how I know we always walk on 2 legs. Our body will distort itself to make sure that happens. And we see that in scoliosis. We see that just in really, really bad pelvic alignment. So that is something to consider as well. Sitting too much is also one of those poor postures, physical assaults in your body. We need motion. Motion is how your joints get its nutrients. So if you're just sitting, you're just stationary, you're not getting the nutrients that you need to your joints and to your muscles. You're not getting oxygen into your muscles the way you need to. So sitting is considered the new smoking, and I think for very good reason. So you need to stretch.
So sitting is considered what?
The new smoking, in terms of its effect on your body. I mean, you're not going to get lung cancer from sitting, but in terms of it being such a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So poor sitting.
And we need motion. Why?
We need motion to get nutrients into our joints. It's called imbibition. You have to have that to get nutrients into the joints themselves. And one way just to kind of also look at how important movement is to your body. We talk about nutrients and things like that. A really kind of I think I may have shared this before. Kind of almost a gross way of remembering this is that whenever somebody, a forensic scientist, for instance, goes in and wants to see how long someone has been dead, they look into their fascia to see kind of how distorted it is, how tied up it is. That means how long have they been immobile, because they can see that, because your body literally just starts to tighten and come together. Oxygen is deprived, so you get that tightness, stiffness. So a lot of us are kind of walking around kind of mostly dead in our muscles and our tissue just because we're not moving. And that's kind of a gross way to look at it. If they were to cut you open and look at your muscles, would you look like you had been walking around, or would you look like you've been a couch potato? It's kind of a gross way of looking at it, but that's the reality of where we're at. So those are our thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Now, somewhere in between toxins and traumas, we have pathogens and disease. Okay, so these are actual real processes that go into our body that can create inflammation and things of that nature. Now, of course, we can always come back and say, okay, well, where do these diseases come from? A lot of them are from the things we've already discussed, primarily toxins, poor lifestyle, things of that nature. Of course, not always.
I forgot the detective hat. Can you talk about it?
Well, the detective hat is just,
I have one.
if we're on the same page in terms of what you mean by that.
Okay.
I always, say that, have to put your detective hat on to figure out what the problem is, Don't live in a state where it's just a matter of covering up symptoms or covering up, the expression of a disease or expression of a problem. But get your detective hat on and find out the underlying root cause.
Yeah.
That takes longer. It's not a quick fix. Everything that we're going to talk about today is not a quick fix, because it's about healing your body. And when you heal your body as opposed to just cover up something, you're not going to have to deal with that in the future, and it's not going to come back with a vengeance. So it's always about healing, and yes, keeping your detective hat on to get to the root cause. So pathogens and disease are certainly another cause of, pain, inflammation in your body. Now, the other side of that is many diseases and conditions that are common now, we're actually finding out that they do have a viral or bacterial origin. For instance, arthritis, multiple sclerosis, there's certain things like that, cancer even, that they think has more of a viral or bacterial origin.
Or fungal.
Or fungal, absolutely. So any of those kind of pathogens will also create inflammation markers. But the good thing is, some of the things we've talked about will also help fight against those too, still getting to the root cause of what's going on in your body. And of course, many diseases, I think I mentioned, are brought on by a chronic lifestyle of assaulting all the things that we talked about. So hopefully this kind of gives you a better idea on what pain is and where it comes from. This is not a comprehensive list, but it gives you a great idea. So let's kind of talk a little bit about how we help pain, right? So first of all, I want to mention chiropractic adjustments. I kind of mentioned that I'm a chiropractor. That's kind of where my heart and soul is, right? So by removing this neurological interference that can be brought on by any one of the 3 T's, we are addressing the root cause of pain because we're addressing that neurological interference, improving that communication so your body can better adapt and fight off whatever's assaulting it. Now, while most associate chiropractic with only that physical representation of pain, something's out of whack, I need to get that addressed. Chiropractic, because of its very strong involvement in the functioning of the brain, has a lot to do with improving the wiring of your brain when we come to talk about toxic thinking. It actually will help your brain to rewire itself so that you can kind of get off that negative thinking train and kind of activate that optimism bias that we truly all have in us. So this allows your body to truly heal itself from the inside out, which is really my goal for all of us. So we're all oily people, so of course we're going to have to talk about essential oils. They are very powerful substances. They all have very many different uses. So we're going to talk about them just, of course, from a little bit, but they have many, many uses. So neurological interference often expresses itself in even blood work by, increased inflammation markers. Essential oils are great to help diminish some of that. They're great at removing some of that inflammation. They do that from several different ways, one of them being to decrease the stress response. So that's going to have a lot to do with stress and pain and things of that nature. So they address the 3 T's, but in a different way. They are a wonderful ally when it comes to a chiropractic practice because they do work in synergy with each other. I do love to line people up with essential oils in my office before, after, send them home, tell them which ones to take at home. They're great allies. They really do work together. I'm definitely a believer that there's not one fix-all. It's always and. But it all starts with, intention. So let's talk about the 3 T's as it relates to essential oils. So thoughts. Now, as you smell an essential oil, you are getting those molecules. They go right to your olfactory system that's connected to your brain. And the part of your brain that gets kind of lit up or affected is your limbic system. Now, your limbic system is that emotional part of your brain. So that's why you really get an emotional release from just smelling essential oils. They can also bring up memories that are associated with smells because smell and your brain are so intricately connected that they truly are almost physically connected in that way. So as you smell them, affected with emotion. Now, this area also deals with blood pressure, your heart rate, all kinds of stress responses. It also affects your hormones. So, and I've talked about this a little bit in another class. We definitely don't have time in this discussion to talk about hormones and how it relates. But just to give you an idea, this part of your brain that we're talking about, it also is involved with the releasing of female hormones that are involved with ovulation. Now, before those hormones are ever released, they check with this part of your brain that's dealing with emotions to see if there is a stress response. If there is a stress response, you are not going to have those hormones released for proper ovulation because your body is not worried about reproduction if it thinks it's about to get attacked. So it's very, very connected. So, yes, so emotions play a big part on every single part of our life, and just at the very essence, that's why essential oils can be so powerful in that way to help your stress and your emotions. Now, in each different essential oils has different compounds, or all from different plants. We know how powerful they are. So they each have different roles, and they each can light up different parts of your brain. Some essential oils are really targeted for your, soft tissues and things of that nature. So that's kind of how essential oils are affected with your thoughts. That's like the first T. And of course, toxins. So we know essential oils, not all essential oils, we know not all essential oils are created equal, but when we have good quality essential oils that are completely pure, unadulterated, like Young Living, we know that they're toxin free. So we can replace all the junk that we have in our home in our medicine cabinet and our beauty cabinet with essential oils, and we're not getting those toxins into our body, creating more and more of those stress responses like we talked about. So you can use them to replace things, and they also are great to help detoxify your body. So they can help bind up those toxins and help to eliminate it. Because as we talked about before, there's only so much room in your body, and if you're filling it with junk, there's no room for the good stuff. So a good start to any kind of health program is to first detox. Because if you've got a cell and it's full of heavy metals, or it's full of all kinds of junk and processed foods, you're not getting the good minerals in, you're not getting the good stuff in. So you really need to purge. And essential oils are great with that. They are very, very high frequencies, and they are able to kind of help purge out those toxins. We'll just say it at that. And they're also very relaxing to the soft tissues themselves, so they can help kind of repair and rebuild that, which is great, help flush out inflammation in the process. So it really helps the body just decrease pain and start to heal in that way. One example, and we'll talk about more, but just one example that I like to mention that I use in the office a lot is Valor, which means bravery. So it's really good, as an emotional oil to kind of help encourage you and strengthen you, but because it has such a high frequency, it is really great at targeting the nervous system, because everything about the nervous system is frequency. Yes, ma'am?
What's the name of the oil again?
Valor, V-A...
Oh, Valor.
Yes, yes. So it does have a very high frequency, and everything in your nervous system deals with frequencies and speeds, so it helps with that as well. Yes, ma'am?
You've heard Valor referred to as chiropractor in a bottle?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, it's just kind of how I'm mentioning. So it's a very high frequency oil, and so because your nervous system runs on very high frequencies, they kind of work together. So Valor helps to kind of increase the communication in your nervous system, similar to a chiropractic adjustment does.
That's interesting.
Right, it is very interesting. So because of that, I like to apply it after someone's had an adjustment, because it helps to kind of hold that memory. It kind of keeps the nervous system activated even longer. So I like to
increases,
use it that way.
What was the word you used?
It increases, I don't remember what I said. It kind of increases the communication there for a while. Yes, ma'am. So and we'll talk some more about some different essential oils that are great too, and how to deal with them. So those are kind of chiropractic, dealing with the 3 T's. Essential oils, dealing with the 3 T's. And there's still a few others. So some of the other things that we have to mention is proper hydration. Water is absolutely essential for life. Even NASA knows that. Okay, if we're in space looking for life, we're looking for water. So we have to understand that as at the very core of our existence. Without water, we're not living. So joints, cartilage, your ligaments, all of those are made from water. Okay, so you have to have water just to have those structures working properly. But because water is so important for our brain is mostly water. Your body is going to keep your brain alive before it worries about keeping your joints healthy. Just like whenever somebody is, we talk about glucose, somebody has low sugar levels, most of the glucose is taken up by your brain. Your brain's always the primary thing. So this is especially true with water. So if you're not getting enough water, you're not getting any to your joints, and in fact, your body will actually start to steal water from those areas just to supply water to your brain. And what happens if your brain still doesn't get enough water, right? If it's mostly water and it's still not getting enough water, well, look at it like the difference between a raisin and a grape, okay? That's where we see a lot of Alzheimer's and things of that nature. It's their brain literally just gets dehydrated. Because as you get older, you naturally lose more water. Your body's not able to store water as much, so you're at a much, much higher risk for dehydration. And that's why elderly people get Alzheimer's. We're actually seeing more and more people get what they call early onset Alzheimer's, because of the fact that more and more young people are dehydrated. Because we've got energy drinks, we've got sodas, we've got all these things that are dehydrating our bodies. So we're seeing more and more incidences of things that normally used to be reserved for an older generation. But now we're all seeing it. Okay, I mentioned coffees, sodas, teas. They all have a tendency to kind of dehydrate you because of diuretics. They kind of help you go to the bathroom even more. So you always need to replenish. So we say you need to drink half of your body weight in ounces a day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need to drink 100 ounces of water a day. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea. If you're drinking coffees and teas throughout the day, you might need to add a couple extra cups in there. For every coffee you drink, you should also have a water with it to help restore that as well. Water also has to have minerals in order for it to be absorbed. So most of the water that city water, plastic bottled water, it's dead water. It is liquid and that's about it. It has no minerals, it has nothing in it to actually nourish your body and allow your body to absorb the water. So without minerals, the water is just going to go right into your stomach and do nothing. So what happens is your body will start to take minerals from your muscles, from your joints, so that it can absorb the water, because water is so vital. So one way to combat that is to add Celtic sea salt into your water. That will bring those minerals back, so your body has the minerals it needs to absorb the water, so it's not robbing minerals from the other parts of your body. So that's just a great way to kind of get your free mineral water, if you will. Also, because essential oils are volatile and they are lipophilic, which means that they love fat, they need the natural fats in order to be absorbed. That's why carrier oils make the essential oils work so much better. They keep them from kind of like evaporating off the skin and help them to kind of be absorbed. So if you're taking essential oils, you're putting essential oils on your skin and it's completely dry, you've got no moisture, you're not hydrated, you're not getting as many benefits from the essential oils as you could. And definitely the benefits won't last as long, you know, when you talk about applying it to your skin for pain relief and things like that. So hydration is important for every single area that, you know, we could possibly discuss. So that's hydration. Another thing we talked about, motion is so important, so we need to move. So stretching, you would be amazed at how many people would just have so much relief from pain if they would just stretch. Stretching is so important. We need to actually lengthen those muscles. We need to keep those muscles strong and healthy so that they can get oxygen, so that they can get their nutrients. And just sitting or even merely just walking around isn't actually stretching those muscles. It's not lengthening them. And stretching properly is also super important. So a lot of us might have learned in school, bend down, touch your toes, jump up, bend down, touch your toes, jump up. That is not stretching. That is setting you up for tears. Because if you are not holding your stretches for at least 15 to 20 seconds, you are causing micro tears in your tendons and ligaments. Eventually you're going to just go to the gym, work out, and boom, there goes your ACL, or boom, there goes your rotator cuff. And the reason that is God is so smart. He didn't want us to just throw a punch and tear our muscles, right? So there's a reflex within your muscles that for 15 seconds, they're going to tighten and shorten and hold on for dear life to make sure that they do not get torn. After 15 seconds, that reflex starts to relax and you can actually lengthen those muscles. So if you're not holding your stretches for at least 15 to 20 seconds, you are doing more harm than good. So keep that in mind as you stretch. I'm happy to show some stretches at the end of this class to kind of give you some examples of some great ways to stretch, that you're not hurting yourself, that you're keeping your body in proper alignment as you're doing them, because that's, you know, just as important. So you can also apply some really great muscle relaxing oils to you before you stretch to kind of warm up the muscles. I'm not a big, when it comes to pain, don't use ice for pain. Don't use heat for pain. You want to use ice. But if you are not hurting and you just want to stretch your muscles, it is okay to warm those muscles up. Probably one of the best times to stretch is after a bath or after a shower when your muscles are nice and warm. You can stretch at that time. And you can apply some of the muscle relaxing oils that we have here on the handout that I'll give you before you stretch, and that will increase your stretch and you'll get more out of it. So that's another way of using essential oils in that way. Fascia blasting. So what fascia is if you can imagine, that's kind of what I mentioned before, is, you know, they kind of look in the back and they can kind of see how long has someone been immobile. If you can imagine super, super thick saran wrap that goes around different groups of your muscles, that is what fascia is. They're actually starting to look at it more of a separate organ altogether because it does have so much nerve flow, it does have so much blood flow that they look at it like a separate organ. And that's a huge organ because that goes over your entire body. It's very, very thick. It holds a lot of those emotions that we talk about. A lot of that gets buried into that fascia, okay? So one way of kind of helping flush some of that inflammation out, some of those bad chemical messengers that we want out, is to use something called a fascia blaster. So that gets in deep down into there and helps to kind of flush it out. So there's some ways that we can use this, and I'll show that to you as well at the end. Foam rolling is also really good, so that I can kind of show you what that looks like. It's just what it sounds like. You get a round piece of foam, and you roll on it. It's a little bit more complex than that. I'm happy to kind of show you what that looks like and what that means. But that's another option. They use it a lot in rehab. Athletes use it a lot because it helps to kind of keep the muscles soft and able to be used the best way that they can.
How do you spell fascia?
Fascia is F-A-S-C-I-A.
Can you mention the rebounder really quick?
Oh yeah, so the rebounder is really good. So
This is probably the best thing if you have joint. It's the best.
it is, yes. So rebounders is basically a little tiny trampoline, like the workout trampolines, like Suzanne Summers, that's a rebounder. So what that does is whenever you jump, you are getting every single cell in your body just wakes up and goes, woo! And then like we talked about, motion is how your body gets its nutrients. So when you're jumping, you've got every joint in your body is getting some nutrients from that. They are getting activated, their cells are happy. So rebounding is amazing. So yes, it's great for pain, it's great for your joints.
Releases your lymph.
Yes, it helps with lymph flow, to help get those toxins out. It's good cardio workout. You can use it for cardio. You can use it for HIIT, which is the high intensity interval training. You kind of you can jump as fast as you can for a few minutes and then stop. You can do so. It has so many uses. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I have one on my front porch that unfortunately sometimes my next door neighbor's kid uses it more than I do. So it's great to remember how important that is. It does so many
Change your
things.
Motion
Change your
activates.
Motion is how your joints get nutrients. So, stretching, icing, fascia blasting, rebounders, so all of those things are really, really great ways of doing that. Also, just a massage. There was something so very therapeutic about just touch. I think Holly even shared something about that on Facebook about just how touch can be so therapeutic and relaxing and helps your body to purge itself of some of those built up emotions and built up toxins and things like that. Helps lymph flow drainage. So all of those things are very, very useful. Another way is, and we won't talk about this too much because this can get out of hand pretty quick, is vagal nerve stimulation. That is a whole field in itself. Your vagal nerve is your 10th cranial nerve. Okay, it runs from your brainstem, it innervates your heart, your lungs, and pierces right through your diaphragm. It's a huge nerve. Vagal means wanderer, so when the Greeks were doing their early dissections, they followed this nerve around and found out that it went everywhere, so they called it the wandering nerve. It's also your cranial nerve 10, so it goes by a couple different names. Now that nerve is primarily responsible for the part of your nervous system that rests, digests, and heals. So we want that nerve to be very healthy, we want that nerve to be very strong. It's a primary connection between your gut and your brain. So we want that nerve to be happy. That will help with pain. They use this for chronic pain patients. They will put a vagal nerve stimulator somewhere on the vagal nerve tract to help stimulate it, to make it stronger, so that it helps naturally decrease pain. But there's ways that you can do this yourself without having to go and get this crazy device implanted in you. One of the best ways is deep, intentional, slow breathing. Now, like I mentioned, the vagal nerve runs right through your diaphragm. So when you're taking those big, deep, slow breaths, you're massaging that nerve. That's essentially how meditation works. I know, just thinking about it, it's like, oh, it just sounds so relaxing. And that's really it. And it's immediate to your brain. So even just thinking about it, it's very calming because there's that very, very strong connection between that. There's many other ways of stimulating that nerve, even gargling. It does run back through your back of your throat essentially. So gargling will actually activate that nerve and help calm you. So there's a lot of little kind of fun, silly tricks, but those are some of the two easiest that I think that you can probably remember. The last thing that just has to be mentioned, right, is the absolute importance of laughter, meaningful relationships, gratitude. Those kinds of emotions are proven to release endorphins that are known to decrease inflammation and pain in the body. There's not enough that can be said about that. They, release more of those happy hormones, more of those happy molecules, and just that alone can help bring down. So laughter is great medicine. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the Young Living blends.
Pass your salt.
And we will definitely have more time for questions.
Does everybody have the recipe on handout?
They do not yet. I kind of waited just to make sure it wouldn't be a distraction. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so if you look through the Young Living catalog or online or whatever, you'll see that there's many different pain rollers or pain blends, right? You have the Azul, you have the, I'm trying to remember what all they're called. Deep relief, pan away, cool. So you have those different ones. Well, we realize through this talk that there's many different causes for pain. So that's why we have these different blends. And because the oils work in synergy with each other, they can kind of create even better results than they were just on their own. So because each pain can be different, your pain's not the same as her pain, so on and so forth, we all have different causes. So my advice would be, get all of them. Find which one works best for you at which time. You may try one blend that works amazing for you one day, and the next day it doesn't work the same. So you kind of need to just bounce around, just kind of have an idea of all your different options so that you're getting the best out of them. There's also some great recipes on here that Holly has. These are amazing, these foot baths and foot soaps, the morphine balm. So these are really good. Some of these are very targeted for tendinitis, for sore muscles. We talked about, of course, how each oil will have different properties and different constituents that make it beneficial to different things. Some of these are kind of more general, like inflammation, muscle soothing body oil. So these are all really good. So feel free to kind of use these, adapt them to your own pain.
Have you personally ever tried the Ortho-Ease?
I haven't. I don't.
I saw when you posted that question, Holly, on Facebook, how do you deal with your pain?
Yeah.
And someone came back with that Ortho-Ease, and she had an autoimmune going on. She was talking highly of that. I have never used it.
Autoimmune is from chronic inflammation.
So I recently had a Zytoscan. Becky Webb's new Zytoscan goes pretty deep, and it comes with a printout.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. The top thing on my Zytoscan was Cool Azul. I've had my detective cap on for weeks, can't figure out why my body was requiring Cool Azul. Partly because Young Living's not allowed to tell us why we're using these oils.
Oh, because they can't diagnose, right?
Well, it can't even go beyond compatible language.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
can't
don't forget
diagnose,
we're
can't
taking
treat.
this. I'm sorry. I just ask questions that we can talk about on the video right now, because we can go into a lot of detail later.
Well, you can just cancel out everything you just said.
Right, honey?
Yes, and we will. So some of these, these oils, you can, like I said, kind of play with them a little bit. Another really good one is, that Holly had out here, is the Nature Red. These are full of antioxidants, so this helps get your body rid of that inflammation, all those kinds of things. So this will help pain as well. And I also wanted to point out here, this is a Reflexology Chart. You have it on your hands and feet, so this is the one for your feet. So these are basically organ maps. So you can get your pain essential oils or frankincense or whatever individual or blend that you want to use. And if you have pain in a certain area, you can massage that area on your foot. So there's, I think your spine is right at the edge. Some of these I forget. So if it's like back pain, you can just look at a Reflexology and say, okay, this is where it bothers some. If it feels like it's more organ-based, you can massage over that organ, or find an essential oil that targets that specific organ, that's good for that organ, that helps detoxify that organ. You can massage that part on your foot, on your hand, on the body part itself. So there's different ways of using them in that way as well.
Awesome.
Yes. So is there anything else, Holly?
Well, I brought most of the oils for people to try if they like. I wanted to mention that you can take things internally and get the gel caps that are made out of vegetable, like this, and then you can do a morphine balm. Like if you're in extreme pain, there's a recipe for that. So you put 5 drops of each of the oils that are on that recipe and add the carrier oil before you take that. So also you can use magnesium spray, which our body is so insanely deficient of magnesium. So why not spray your back or wherever you're hurting with magnesium spray? I would spray your spine every day no matter what, even if you don't have pain. But then put the oils in with that, because then you're using that synergistically as well. This is amazing, so I would definitely do that. Another thing I want to recommend is Alkaline, which is a Young Living, kind of like it's very fizzy. It has lime in it, lemon. It's kind of like I've got it written down what it has inside. But if you take this and you connect it with, you combine it with Ningxia Red, and you also combine it with sulfurzyme, which I put somewhere, I'm not sure where it is.
It's on here.
Oh, here it is, the sulfurzyme, which is the wolfberry MSM, which is super important for pain. And then, what's the other thing in here? Sulfur and other minerals that we need. So I would just put like a couple of capsules of this, half a teaspoon of this, the Ningxia Red, and then some cold water, stir it all up, and drink that with, it's so delicious, and it's like, will completely relax your muscles and completely give you the minerals and all of the antioxidants and flavonoids that your body needs. It's unbelievable how good this is. So.
And you're just mixing up one glass full and drinking it.
Well, actually, I do when I really want to feel decadent. But if I just want to sip it through the day, I'll take a Ningxia Red bottle. I'll dump this in it. I'll add 2 things of sulfurzyme. I'll add a half a teaspoon of the alkaline, which makes it fizz up like a chemistry experiment, so be careful. And then you add the water after it's done the fizzing. And then you can keep that and just drink it throughout the day to alkalize and settle your pH, to balance that, and do all of those other things in one. I'm really into multitasking. You know what I mean? So that's a very healing thing.
So you're only using 2 ounces of Ningxia Red?
And then just fill up the Ningxia bottle. Or do it, like if you want to be decadent, just drink it straight and it really tastes good.
I drink it straight and I add the lemon for the liquor.
Nice. Okay, so
But
you
the
like
exact
that.
same
Isn't
thing,
that
but I
good?
tried it at your house once.
Yes, it's delicious. It's so good. But
That's
your cells are going, yes, she's taking care of me. You feel amazing.
So I pretty much make a quart of that every day, but I've never put the alkaline in it.
It just helps with pH balancing, with stomach upset, with everything that alkalizing would do.
Does the sulfurzyme come in a pill form, or is that?
These are pills, and I just dump them out, so I just open it up and
So
put it in. Or you could buy it as a powder, either way.
So where's the mineral salts and all of that?
Mineral salts are in here and in the alkaline. And the Ningxia. And then wolfberry is unbelievable. So, wolfberry is in the sulfurzyme as well. It's very tasty, actually. That's a tasty one. So those are the only things I wanted to add. The other thing I wanted to add is if you do skin brushing every time you take a shower, that just really exercises your skin, it exfoliates your skin, and it moves your lymph. So those 3 things are happening when you do this. And you do it really hard. And you just come up towards your...
What if you do it after you get out of the
I do
shower?
it after I get out of the shower.
To get it all down the drain.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
no, I do it right after the shower because
but
just good.
anybody who's talking about skin brushing will say before.
Teresa Tapp is the one who I follow. If you want to do an exercise that will change your life as far as body alignment, have you ever done T-Tap? It's remarkable, and she recommends it this way. And she said she's passed away recently, but she was an expert that I truly follow, and I respect her advice, and that's what she
I
recommended.
wondered where you got that from.
That's where I got it. And then I take Cell Light Magic, or you could use Ortho-Ease or Orthosport, if you've got muscle pains, and then, you can just slather yourself up with it. I use Cell Light Magic right afterwards, just this morning, and I feel like $1 million. So, it's really special. It's not on there. It's not really, it's just for detoxing. It's not really for muscles or pain or anything. And it smells good because it's got all the citruses in it, and I really like citrus. So that's good. Another thing you can do to keep yourself calm is to put the Idaho spruce or whatever oil that you love in your diffuser necklace, and then you're just kind of keeping your aura strong and you're keeping your muscles relaxed, and that stress level is reduced, which I've never